How to find and wholesale pre-foreclosures for big profits. What is up, guys? Zach in here, and in today's video, today's live stream, I'm going to show you step by step how to pull pre-foreclosures. Most importantly, how to market to these pre-foreclosures. Most real estate wholesaling guru programs or videos don't talk about this unless you pay thousands of dollars. Exactly the languages to say, what not to say. I know it seems like it's a regular list, but like if you don't say the right things, you will not get these deals. And also what I'm going to teach you is really the entire pre-foreclosure process. And this isn't like some 2-hour master video where I'm going to go for hours and hours and hours. It's pretty simple. You are going to be able to go inside of whatever government lists. You can use a paid service to get the pre-foreclosures and actually understand what a pre-foreclosure is. If you understand what it is, when you talk to a seller, you're going to sound like an expert. I'm giving you literally a script of what to do. I'm actually going to give you a 5-point plan of how pre-foreclosures work. It's really simple. Anybody at the end of this video can understand it. And most importantly, you will be able to go out here and start getting pre-foreclosure leads with no money at all. It's amazing. So today we're going to show you how to do it. Pre-foreclosures is an amazing lead source if you know how to do it the right way. There are certain marketing channels that don't work for it. There are certain marketing channels that do work for it. But you have to understand you have to do it the right way. And if you do not do it the right way, you'll be set up for failure. So I'm going to show you how to get rich. For a lot of wholesalers, this can be your first deal. And for a lot of people, it is their first deal doing this. And there is so much motivation with this list and really not a lot of people talking about it. So we're going to break this all down. We're going to get into this and share this step by step. So the first question is, what is a pre-foreclosure? Like that's a very simple question, or it's very simple for someone that understands it a lot. But for a beginner out here, you're a complete beginner. You don't understand what a pre-foreclosure is. Why should I go after them? Everything like this. It's not that complicated. Now, if I can give you a quick sentence of what it is, it's basically a list of people not paying their mortgage. I know I oversimplified it there, but that is basically the gist of what I'm trying to get you to do today. 5 people not paying their mortgage. Most people have a mortgage, and a lot of people do not pay it, and they lose the house potentially to the bank. You can actually help the sellers out, and you can get these big 10, 15, 20, 40, $50,000 assignment fees by doing this. Now, you're going to have to understand a couple things by doing this, and this is why I need to break this all down. You just can't go pull a pre-foreclosure list and start marketing willy-nilly. That's how most wholesalers operate, because they watch one YouTube video from a guru and then just go after it, and the guru doesn't tell you exactly what to do and not to do. But this is what we're going to break down today. No complicated scripts, no complicated, crazy systems or anything like that. Just really easy, simple to digest information so we can start getting rich on here. Now, basically, if I can give you a legal definition of a pre-foreclosure, right? Pre-foreclosure is not like a real term. It's not something the bank really uses as a term too much. It's kind of a, us real estate investors and wholesalers use this term. But a pre-foreclosure basically is an early stage quote in the foreclosure process, when a homeowner is behind on the mortgage payment and the lender has initiated proceedings for a foreclosure. That's basically what a pre-foreclosure is. Basically, you have a bank, they own a note on the property, you don't pay your mortgage, the bank can take over the house pretty much. Now, you don't lose all, you still get your equity, things like that. And if that stuff's confusing, we will break it all down today. So don't be freaked out. Hopefully you don't feel overwhelmed with this information. I promise you, step by step, we're going to introduce new things on here. Now, there are pretty much 5 stages of pre-foreclosure. Now, what I'm going to do is, I know this is like, whoa, you're hitting me all at once. What I want you to do is just sit back. Don't get stressed out. I have visuals and charts and all these to make it really simple. But it's basically, when you don't pay your mortgage, 5 things happen for you to lose the house. And we have to understand these 5 steps, because your motivated seller who is not paying the mortgage and be like, oh my gosh, what do? I can't even sell it to you. The bank's going to take it over. You're like, no. These are the 5 steps. So you might want to write this down. You might want to screenshot this. This is very important stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, which everyone watching this is actually on YouTube, you can screenshot this. It is recorded, so you can write your notes. Also, my free wholesaling course, freewholesaling.com, this stuff is already on there for you to print, download, things like that, because it's a free sneaking course. So this is 5 stages, right? So FYI, if you are not inside of freewholesaling.com, my free wholesaling course, you are missing out, because this is the type of information we have in here. So step 1, if you have a mortgage and you don't pay your mortgage. Now, usually the missed payment is about 2 to 3 missed payments. That's pretty much when you stop paying, right? So you don't pay your mortgage for 1 month. Usually you don't get anything crazy, but month 2 or 3 happens, then we start getting into missed payments. Now, It's pretty simple. You just didn't pay your $1,500 a month mortgage. You didn't pay your $1,700 a month mortgage, whatever it is. You just didn't pay the dang thing, right? It's pretty simple. You just didn't pay the bill. What happens when you don't pay your bill? You get into stage 2. You can't get into stage 2 without doing you. If you're automatically paying your payments, you're never going to get any of the other stuff. Some people are like, I don't know how I got. You didn't pay the dang mortgage. Okay. So stage 2 is what we get called, this is the notification. Basically what notification is the bank tells the person like, hey, you didn't pay your mortgage. If you don't, we're going to take the house over. Like you agreed. You signed a mortgage that said, if I don't pay, the bank can take over, the bank can take over your property. And it's a little threatening. It's a little scary. This is usually about 3 to 4 payments. Usually you get the notification. It sounds scary, but it's done on purpose. You're not paying your bills, like duh, right? And so you're going to get a notification, usually a letter, email, whatever from the bank saying, hey, you got to pay up or you're going to lose the house. They're actually trying to be nice here. Sometimes, someone's grandma might die and people are so overwhelmed with grief that in 3 or 4 months, they just didn't know grandma had a mortgage or they didn't know how to pay it, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, I got this letter. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know this. We got to pay this off, right? It's not to be scary or mean, but like, it's just trying to let you know what's going to happen. And usually once notification happens, this isn't even we don't even have this information, right? You get into stage 3. Now, stage 3 is when we can start, us wholesalers get the information. After month 3 or 4, the bank's like, okay, this person ain't paying. We got to start the process. Now, everybody thinks in pre-foreclosures, you didn't pay 1 month, on the streets, right? That's what they think. They think you're on the street month 2, and that's not how it works. It's usually like 5, 6, 7, 8 months down the line. Now, sometimes longer, sometimes it's shorter. Every state's different. I know ones that take years. I know ones that aren't as fast, right? They're all a little different. But stage 3 is basically the bank and their lawyers are going to put on public notice, public record. They're going to start a court filing and says, hey, this person's not paying their agreement. I need to take over the house. And the process starts from there. It's going to be a couple more months after, but until really a judge says, okay, fine, get them out, right? Not mean, but it gives, the court system has this on purpose so people and their families aren't kicked out really quick, right? It's a pretty slow process, which is good for us wholesalers because once it's on public records, a regular Joe Schmo, can pull up to my clerk of the court and just get the information like this. I can go to like listrei.com, LASTREI.com, and just get that information pretty quick. Go to zacdata.com, whatever it is, right? And get that info. That is stage 3, public records, or what they call a lis pendens. Now, lis pendens is basically a Latin term. It is basically a lawyer term, right? A law term. Basically, they are starting the process or they're moving forward with something. It's not the perfect definition of it, but basically what lis pendens is a action or a commencement of something's happening, which basically means they are trying to take something over. It's pretty serious. Lis pendens can be with really anything, with contract law and basically how common law is in the United States of America. But basically that's how it works. Pretty much all 50 states in the United States are like this. Pretty easy, right? It's put on public record. We get this information. Sometimes it's called a notice of lis pendens. I was dealing with somebody in Louisiana. It's actually a new one for me, but it was called a notice of lis pendens. It's usually a notice of default is what it's called. Or literally it's just called lis pendens, but there's some other ones, notice of judgment. There's a lot of other terms. Generally, you look at them, that's what they put. The bank puts a public record. Now, once that happens, usually a month or 2, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 4 or 5 months, right? Every government official, court record, office type thing is different, right? Each one is very, very different. So what that means is basically on step 4 of this process is the judge sees it. They're like, okay, it's been like 6 missed payments. Nothing's happening. Now, FYI, before like all this stuff, so let's talk about the stages. It's up to stage 3. I missed 5 payments. I can just pay it. And sometimes the penalty, whatever the mortgage is written out on it, right? Like I can pay it and stave my house. Like I can do it. It's fine, right? So just FYI, like they could protect it. Now, some are different, obviously. Each one is completely different, but usually you can save it at that point. Now at stage 4, this is when it's very, very difficult. So what you have to understand is stage 3 to stage 4. Until it reaches stage 4 is very difficult. Okay. From stage 3 to 4, before 4 even starts, between sandwiched, this is what we call the wholesaling window of opportunity. We have information, there's a pre-foreclosure, and before that auction date is set, before it gets a little hairy, we can write a contract, find a buyer, have them fund the deal, and boom, the pre-foreclosure is not on the seller's record, right? So auction date is set, stage 4. This is basically when the judge sees it. Okay, this person's not paying. It's been 6+ months. Here's the date. Auction the house off. Bank, if you don't like it, take the property over, do an REO, go after. And I'm not trying to do complicated terms or anything scary for you there, but that is a term you should understand too. For Wholesale.com, we break that down. The auction date is set. Once the auction date is set, it becomes extremely difficult. And I don't like to say this lightly, but it becomes extremely difficult to actually go out here and get this information. I hate to say it, but it gets a little tough to go out here and lock up a deal, get it funded once the auction date is set. And so we want to be before that, right? And then the auction date's set from like a month from now or a month or two, the foreclosure happens, it gets auctioned off, or if the price isn't good, the bank basically takes it over. Now, what I want to do right now is show you a chart we have inside of freewholesaling.com. So let me click this button here. Let me go inside of freewholesaling.com, and let me show you really quick when you're inside of freewholesaling.com what kind of the chart. So we have a really cool chart here. I love showing it. I've been on record like a billion times of just showing this, but basically, where is this? Let's see here. Can open a new tab, right? There we go. Okay. So basically, inside of freewholesaling.com, we have a chart we really show you and teach pre-foreclosures really well, and I do want to show it in this video. So I will give the credit. You need to go to freewholesaling.com. That is my free wholesaling course. And basically what I'm going to do is put in the bottom right hand corner. There we go. freewholesaling.com. Boom. Beautiful. Bada bang, bada boom. Right. So let me put myself in the corner here just for a second so you guys understand that. And so basically this is freewholesaling.com. Now, this is basically what the process of a pre-foreclosure looks like. Pretty much from left to right, this is the way I like to look at things. So there's a thing called a pre-foreclosure. Now, a pre-foreclosure, letters from the bank, this is what we call the notification. Nothing happens. They miss their first payment, second payment, third payment. Then they are inside of a pre-foreclosure. This is about 120 plus days in. There is a notice of default. It is filed on the public record. And then from there, that's basically stage 3. Now, stage 4 is auction date set. You can see right here. There's this thing right here called the wholesaling window of time. This is the time we have in wholesaling to pull the list, market to it, get the lead, sign the contract, assign it, get the property sold before the auction date. You can also do a short sale. I'm not really going to get in that today right now because short sales are a little more difficult than they were when I got into wholesaling. Way easier when Rick was doing it. But you can do a short sale if you understand that process. Freewholesaling.com, we kind of teach how to do that. That is when it's usually when they owe way too much on the house. Usually for most of your wholesaling deals and leads, you're not going to deal with that. Pretty much, you see auction date set right there. Once the auction date is set, it is way harder to get that wholesaling deal. And then on the top right-hand corner, I'll hide that for you guys. If you guys want to go and screenshot this right now, go and screenshot it. We get in the auction, the foreclosure auction, or what we call the REO right there. The bank wants to basically sell for what is owed. So if they owe 100 grand, they just want to get sold for that at least, or get the equity out. Most sellers will deal with you. And I will say this a million times. And I know I sound like I'm saying this like a broken record, but most sellers got in the situation because they're procrastinators, because they don't want to deal with reality. And once reality hits them that, hey, in 3 days, I'm going to be kicked out of the house, then they want to sell to you. 3 to 7 days, it's almost impossible to get. You can do it. Very, very difficult if you are just to wholesale the deal. Not good. I'm not a big fan of these. 3 to 7 days before. This is why we have to be in that wholesaling window of opportunity 3 or 4 months before. Most sellers don't want to deal with it. So just be aware, you can't help them all. So screenshot that. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds, and then we're going to get out of this and then keep talking about how to actually find these type of leads and things like that. But this is the wholesaling process from left to right, the entire process. The reason why I wanted to give this to you is so you sort of had an understanding of what the process is before we pull the list. Because you kind of understand this, it makes it easier for you to pull the list. Now, 3, 2, 1, screenshot it. Go to freewholesaling.com. Bottom right-hand corner right there if you want to get that just downloaded. It's free, stuff like that, right? So basically it is very, very important you guys go out here and go to freewholesaling.com. Now, that is basically the process. And now we're kind of getting to the important stuff, right? Like, okay, I understand this. I understand the process. It seems like a lot of work. It seems complicated. Why do I want to wholesale a pre-foreclosure? This literally makes no sense. Like, it This is a lot of work. This seems really difficult. Why in the world would I want to actually go out here and wholesale a pre-foreclosure, right? Well, the reason why you want to wholesale a pre-foreclosure list and these leads is because you can get really good wholesaling deals. They are really motivated. Now, with any list, any type of marketing strategy in wholesaling, there are pros and there are obviously cons. Let me go over the pros first. I'm going to give you the sad stuff at the end because I feel like it's a punch in the mouth you need to understand to really see what wholesaling is all about. Now, what are some of the big pros of wholesaling the pre-foreclosure list, right? Number one, probably already watching this video. These sellers, they're going to have the auction date set. They're going to lose the house. Duh. Like, they're going to lose the stinking house. It's a big motivation, right? Big motivation. They all need to get rid of the house, basically. Now, do they all think that they're going to lose the house? No, they all think that magically they're going to get the money. Their uncle's going to strike it rich, or they got some money coming. The ego's get in the way, everything. It's a situation. But all these people have a big motivation. That doesn't mean every single seller on this list is going to magically want to sell their house with a super low price, right? That ain't going to happen. Okay. If you think that's going to happen, no, right? There's going to be a big motivation. Statistically, when I talk to 100 of these sellers, more of them are going to be motivated sellers. More of them are going to be good deals. More of them are going to be more contracts than just a regular high equity list. That's why we're talking about this list today. That's why we actually want to go after them, right? The other big pro is this is a free list. Costs no money. It's a completely free list for me to pull. That is why I absolutely love pre-foreclosures. It's a free list. It's going to cost me no money. Anyone that actually wants to go out here and actually find these deals, find motivated sellers, get deals under contract, right? It is a completely free list to pull. Now, you can pay for this information, right? Another really big pro, I'd say, it's really easy to pull it. If you have listrei.com, that's basically Propstream. You get a free trial to it. So anyone get a free trial, pull the pre-foreclosures tonight if you wanted to, right? That is an option for you guys out here. So easy to pull on listrei.com. I would say that is a big pro looking into wholesaling this list. It's so easy to pull this list. Now, there are some cons with that, obviously, but it's a big pro. Right? Now, another really big pro, this might not be a pro for everyone. Some people might like this, some people might not, but it is a great creative financing list. If you're looking to get in some creative financing or you want to wholesale and do creative financing at the same time, I would really recommend you actually go out here and do pre-foreclosures. If I was looking to do subject twos, oh my gosh, this is like the best one. Woo! Guys, you have to be doing the subject to list. If you were into creative financing, it's amazing. And I'm not going to full creative finance today, but it's great. Okay. So great creative financing list and wholesaling together. That's why I like it. But obviously with this type of list, there are going to be some big cons we really need to understand here. Okay. One of the big cons, because this is an easy to pull list, it is going to be extremely easy for a lazy wholesaler to get the list. Let me repeat myself. If I'm a lazy bum wholesaler that doesn't want to work hard and I just pull the list and just throw something out, even if I'm a bad wholesaler and I just want to do really high offers and ruin people's deals, I can do that. That's a con. That is a con of the pre-foreclosure list. Because it's easy to pull, any Joe Schmo can pull the list, which means there's usually more competition. Now, is that a bad thing? No. If you're wholesaling like we teach in freewheelsing.com and on this YouTube channel, you're fine. There's really not much to worry about here, but you have to understand this is not a code violation. This is not a probate. This is not a trying for dollars. This is none of those type of lists where it's like, okay, I don't have to really deal with a lot of competition. There is going to be a decent amount of competition for this, but it's free and it's easy to pull. You should add this on your tool belt or your toolbox of type of lists to do, right? If I add that on top of what I'm doing, it's only just going to increase the chance of me getting consistent wholesaling deals every single month, right? It's not going to hurt. But if you're like, I'm only doing this list, that's the only thing I'm going to do, it might be a little tough. So just FYI. Another big con. Now I'm giving you cons because I need you to understand them. Do not go out there and be like, oh, okay, everything's all fancy schmancy. Nothing wrong is going to happen. No. There are some cons to this that you guys should understand. All right. The seller needs to sell in a pre-foreclosure. Now, I need you guys to really grasp this. Sellers need to sell in a pre-foreclosure situation. They're going to lose the house. There are lots of bad things when you're in a pre-foreclosure and your house gets foreclosed on. It's on your record. It's going to get extremely hard to get more financing. Heck, a lot of people, if you want to rent out a new place, it's going to be more difficult. It's going to destroy your credit, which is going to be hard to rent out a house. Like, there's a lot of cons. You are publicly on notice that your house got foreclosed on, which is very embarrassing for a lot of people. In America, everyone's like, oh, look at me. Look at me. I wonder what the Johnsons think of this. Rah, rah, right? It's not a very, it's not the nicest thing. You do not want to be put on that list, right? It'd be embarrassing, right? And so a lot of people want their egos, their reputation, whatever in check. So it's very important that we don't get on a list like this, right? And so there's a lot of like pros of why you should sell your house when you're in pre-foreclosure and not let it get auctioned off. It's just, it's not a good look, right? It's not good for my credit, anything like that, right? So the sellers, they need to sell, but most of them won't. We're going to keep this house. They have the emotional attachment. You got to understand this. Most pre-foreclosure sellers got into this situation not because they make good decisions, and more specifically, good financial decisions. You do not miss 3 or 4 mortgage payments because you're up and top on your responsibilities. Now, some people lose their jobs, they're in tough situations, their family gets sick. I get it. But for the vast majority of pre-foreclosures, a lot of them are bad with money. They're very bad at bills and things like that. They're not making good financial decisions. They're procrastinating on that bill. They're going to be very big procrastinators. And when you're a procrastinator, you don't want to deal with anything until you actually have to, the day of or the week of, right? And when they say, oh, the auction's 3 or 4 months, I'll get my money right by then. I'll deal with it it's not the best thing in the world. So we do have to really understand this, guys and gals, that the sellers are going to need to sell, but a lot of them won't. And a lot of wholesalers, beginners get really upset with themselves. It's kind of sad. I just wish the seller would sell. They need to sell, but they're not signing with me. They're procrastinators. You have to, it's a numbers game, right? You have to get the majority that will. Then from there, you're good to go, right? And then, I'm getting some other ones, right? Like it gets very difficult, right? Most pre-foreclosures too, they won't come to reality until the auction date gets set, which gets very difficult for us to wholesale that deal. I've had countless leads like this. Unfortunately, I just deal with the ones that want to deal with me, and that's it, right? I use this example a lot, and a lot of wholesalers, they think it's silly, but it's completely true with pre-foreclosures or motivated sellers in general. It's like asking a person out on a date. Okay. I know it's a silly thing to say, but it's true. If I ask somebody out on a date and they say no, I'm going to respect their decision and then just go on to the next one and just fine, right? I'm not going to let it bother me. A lot of you guys are like, no, you said no. You need to go with me. You need to say yes. I'm such an amazing You're not going to convince, they said no. You're not going to go convince them. That's crazy. Okay. Deal with somebody that wants to deal with you. A lot of you wholesalers get so worked up that someone said no when they actually need to sell. That's like, they can't wrap their minds around it. It's a numbers game, guys and gals. If it ain't going to work, just go to the next one. That's it. You ain't going to go sit in your butt all day and cry. Life's too short for that. Most pre-foreclosure sellers won't come to reality until the auction date gets set. So deal with the ones that will actually deal with reality, right? Another big con on pre-foreclosures, you guys have to understand. You don't want to hear it, but you need to understand this. Cold calling won't work well with pre-foreclosure sellers. I have done every marketing channel when it comes to pre-foreclosures. Cold calling is the worst one. That is my biggest pet peeve with wholesalers that say, Zach, I can't get any wholesaling deals. I went to freewholesaling.com. I watched like one video and I did it and your information sucks and it doesn't work. What do you do? I pull pre-foreclosures and I call them and nobody answered. Oh, shocker. Look, do you see what I'm putting on this video right now? I say cold calling doesn't work. It's because, guys, you don't understand, Zach. I did it and I'm going to get results. You just don't know what you're talking about, right? Guys, I've tried it. Because when you're behind on your mortgage payments, your loan payments, usually your credit cards too on top of this, you get so many calls from the bank, loan servicing companies. You get on all the lists because you're on public record of people calling you. Most pre-foreclosure sellers do not even want to answer their phone. They just don't. It's a bad cold calling list. Great for texting in other ways, but really not a good cold calling list. So everybody, please do not cold call the pre-foreclosure list. If you listen to me say you don't call it and you call it and don't get results and you cry to me about it, I'm not going to feel bad for you because you're listening against my advice. Now, here's the question. How do I pull this magic list? Oh, I want to get some wholesaling deals from pre-foreclosures. Okay, Zach told me the cons. But I know if I just keep marketing to it, eventually I'll get a lot of motivated sellers and a lot of great wholesaling deals. Now's the chipper way, and that is the way you should be looking at things because you will 100% get wholesaling deals like this, right? So the question is how to pull the pre-foreclosure list. Now, how do you pull it? Let's talk about method 1, 2. There's 2 methods, right? Method 1 is basically the free method. It's my favorite method out here. But basically, if you got no money, you're broke, you live virtually, whatever it is, and you got no money, you want to start pulling lists tonight. This is how you do it. Let's get into it, right? Number 1, we are going to go to our public records, our county's clerk of the court, our county assessor website, whatever way you want to call it, right? We are going to go there. It can be online. You just search. So if you live in Houston, Texas, search Houston, Texas County. Harris County is going to pop up. Search Harris County Clerk of the Court or Harris County Public Records. And then from there, you're going to go to the list pendant section, notice of default section, or notice of list pendant section, notice of judgment, whatever section it is. And all you're going to do is pull that information, pull the data online or in person. Now, the information you look on list pendants is you're going to make sure there's two parties. Usually there is a party that is there's a grantor grantee usually on these, but basically there's going to be a name, Chris Johnson, and then there's going to be Bank of America, Quicken Loans on the other side of the other plaintiff, maybe on the case, right? There's going to be whatever loan servicing company. It's going to sound corporate, like Bank of America, Capital One, all these things. It's going to say an amount. Usually the amount's going to be over $50,000, and you're going to get some information. And most of this, just FYI, is going to have a parcel ID attached to them. Usually, if you're in a bigger market, you can just pull it Excel style, copy and paste, and you can just download it, pull the information. You'll have a property address and all this stuff. Usually, we can do that. Sometimes, if you're in a small city, right? I'm trying to help a wholesaler out right now, basically in Kentucky, like not the biggest market ever. It's a little more difficult. And so basically what I told him to do is you're going to have to go in person and ask for this information. And I basically asked like what type of info to look at. Well, we kind of have a way our company does it and we do it virtually. You have to ask in person. And specifically, you're going to have to ask for very specific information. Now, a lot of wholesalers, this is another pet peeve of mine. Take notes, boys and gals. Because if you don't take notes, you're going to stay broke. And I do not want you to stay broke. I want you to get rich, get moolah, get that money, right? So what do? You are basically going to go out here and go to public records, clerk of the court, pull up or call them, right? And just say, hey, I want a list of all the people that are behind on the mortgage and the court cases associated with them. And they're going to say, okay, we can give you that information. What type of information do you want from these cases? And most people are like, I don't know. And then you get stumped and then you come back home and you cry about it. And then you go into the comments and you say, oh, it didn't work. Come back then. Or they say, we're not going to give you that information. And you guys cry and then come back. And okay, pull up the next day. Guys, this is stuff that even if they say no, if you're in all 50 states in the United States, they have to give you this information. It's public info. It's not private. It is public. These banks are literally going through the government to get this done, and the government posts all this information. Go to public dockets. Go to freelisting.com if you're having struggles with it. It's all free. But basically what you need specifically, if they ask, sometimes they get cute with you. What specific information do you need? Well, here is, just screenshot this, write this down. This is really important. But pretty much the info that we ask, our VAs usually do, is we want property address. We want the homeowner's name. We want the date of initiation of foreclosure proceedings. I know that's fancy, but the clerk of the court should understand that. We want, if we can, if available, the outstanding mortgage balance and any additional relevant information. I'm gonna give you guys a couple seconds to screenshot that. It's very important we get that information out. Usually the public records has that, so it's really not that difficult to get, but we do need to be careful to get that stuff. So we also just got to make sure we're good on this one. But just to understand, screenshot this. It's very important. We need to get that information, property address, homeowner's information, all these things. And they should give it to you absolutely for free. I specifically don't ask for a PDF. I ask for an Excel format for this information. And if somebody says no, you keep asking, speak to a manager, speak to the city attorney. I have a lot of tricks to the trade. I have a one-on-one link if you guys want to talk tonight. If you're struggling getting this information, by the end of that call, I will be like, oh, okay, I'll just do that instead. And then boom, you'll get it, right? I have never really struggled with this list. It's code violations, water shutoffs, things like that I struggle a lot more, fire damage properties. But some people struggle with it. And just understand, the harder it is to get that information, the better. Because the more difficult it is to get that list, that means less wholesalers are wholesaling it. That's actually really good and really good stuff. Usually it's pretty easy to get it right. Now, there's method 2 is what we call the paid method. Now, there's free trials to this, so it can be free, but basically all you have to do is just pull the list at listrei.com. Listrei.com is basically PropStream. It is a free trial to it. It's a free link, so anyone can go listrei.com, listrei.com. You can go there and actually get this information. Now, listrei.com is amazing. I love PropStream. But basically, you can go pull the prop stream information, and they will have pretty much an API type thing. They're really good at this, and they just get the pre-foreclosure. Now you can use zacdata.com for that too. That's Zac Data, that's batch leads. They're pretty much equal in that regards, but they all work really, really well. So you can pull that information. It usually has all that relevant information. And it's way easier to pull than just with a regular list, but it's always good. Now, the real question here is, okay, now I have the list. How do I market to these leads? How do I actually get deals from this, right? Like, how do I actually start doing well? Now, how to market to pre-foreclosures and talk to these type of sellers. There's about, I'd say 4 good marketing channels for this. Okay. There's about 4, I would say, really good marketing channels when it comes to wholesaling pre-foreclosures, right? And let's talk about these right now. Now, number 1, I would say hands down, without a doubt, the best way to wholesale pre-foreclosures right now is through SMS text blast. Now, if I have to give the deadliest combo, it would just be smszac.com combined with pre-foreclosures. If you're, I'm just telling for anyone, I don't care if it's direct mail, whatever marketing channel works. How do I get most of my pre-foreclosure deals? It is from texting them. You know, I love calling. You know, I love direct mail. You know, I love all these things. Most of my revenue in wholesaling real estate is, and I will always say this, most of my revenue is always going to be from direct mail. Love postcards. I use the ROS postcard from Open Letter Marketing. It's the best one. It makes me most of my revenue. But what I'll specifically, outside of the JV deals, obviously, but what I'll tell you is with pre-foreclosures, it's very expensive to mail to them. And you actually have to understand this too. It doesn't like, what's the best way? When I have a high equity, I send them a direct mail piece, right? Sometimes the high equity mailer will hold on to that for like 3 or 4 months and then call me after. In 3 to 4, and then maybe I can follow up with that lead and it's a good deal. In a pre-foreclosure, I have to get that deal done in 2 to 3 months and it's over. So me sending constant direct mail that doesn't like just continually work for me, it's not that good. The average pre-foreclosure list lead deal in wholesaling is going to make me 20 grand, maybe 25 if I'm lucky. I mean, direct mail, like I'm making $35,000, $40,000 on my average direct mail deal from high equity. If I do probates, it's like $50,000. I like pushing them up to 60. So understanding it's not the best. So I have to use a cheaper marketing tactic that isn't a ton of work. Now, usually cold calling is the best one. I have VAs, we go crazy with that. But with pre-foreclosures, I can cold call them. So what's the best one? Hands down, SMS text blasting. And if you want to do that the right way, you just go to smszac.com. Again, that is smszac.com. That is hands down the best one I've personally found for text blasting. Now, you can text for free, FYI. So you can just use Google Voice, get the information, truepeoplesearch.com, use your personal cell phone, and actually text these leads out. It's not a bad one to do. Really, I know some people complain about it, but like it's great. You can text for free. Freewholesale.com, we actually teach you how to text blast for free. You usually send about 100, 120 out a day, which for pre-foreclosures, not bad. I actually had a video last week. If you go to the Zac and YouTube channel and you go to the live, you'll see me do a video on SMS text blasting. You can do it for free too. There's free methods. It's great. But texting, I would say, even if you have no money and you don't want to use smszac.com, that's okay. Trust me, it's fine, but you can do it for free also. And do the free one, get some money, and then invest in smszac.com. I promise you will not be disappointed from that. Promise you, okay? Now next, this is for my people that don't have the money for texting maybe. This is a great one. This is a little more down and dirty, but this is probably one of the best methods if time-wise, okay? Time in, time out, you tell me, Zac, I have 2 hours a week to market to pre-foreclosures. It's all I have. I'm not going to tell you to SMS text blast. You're going to need a little more time for that, right? Now, what's the best one to scale out? Pre-foreclosure, SMS, right? But if you give me 2 hours and you also say 2 hours, but I'm also broke, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be difficult. What am I going to do? We can't spend all this time skip tracing because you only have 2 hours, right? But what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you, go to the dollar store, grab some sticky notes. These things are $100 bills. This is the way I look at these things are $100 bills. Okay, make 20 grand from a stack like this. Oh, mwah. It's a stack of 20 grand right there. Boom. You're going to write on that sticky note, hey, this is Zac. I had a quick question about your property. Please give me a call back. And then put your Google Voice phone number. Slap that on as many pre-foreclosure leads as possible. Physically go to the house. Slap the sticky note on it. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Zac, that seems like a lot of work. Yeah, of course it's a lot of work. But the average bum wholesaler that is buying a guru course, and I'll tell you, you're a bum if you're paying 15 grand to learn wholesaling. Not a bad way, but get out, stop being a bum. Go to freewholesaling.com, learn how to wholesale for free. You're being a bum. You're listening to a broke wholesaler who hasn't done a wholesaling deal in 4 years about how to market the pre-foreclosures. You're on your phone calling these leads like, oh, it's not working. Stop being a bum. Get a sticky note, slap it on there. Most wholesalers are lazy and they don't want to do it. Your competition's like that. Be above them. Rise above. Actually work hard. Slap the sticky note in the house. You do enough of those, you'll get wholesaling deals. I promise you that. You'll get sellers inbound calling you. The number one objection I get is, Zach, what do I say if they call me? Well, what's the point of the sticky note? Of course you want them to call you. Duh. Of course you want them to call you. So you get the wholesaling deal, right? They call you. Hey, this is Zach. I got a sticky note from me. Hey, I was actually driving around the area, my partner, and it seemed like a house we wanted to buy. We're looking to buy a couple houses in the area. Are you looking to sell it by chance? I'm not going to say, oh, you're a pre-foreclosure. You're behind on your payments. I want to buy your house. No. That's not what we do around here. Okay. No. Say, hey, we saw that house. Seemed like a decent house we want to buy. We like to buy houses in the area for cash. Are you looking to sell it? Make it simple. Make it easy. Don't complicate this process. And I promise you, reverse try for dollars, you'll get great wholesaling deals. Now, on top of that too, can do direct mail. Now, this is probably the most expensive method, the most expensive way. I would probably avoid doing this if you don't have a lot of money, but we do send direct mail out. Letters, postcards, whatever you want. Our West postcards are our personal favorite, but you can send these direct mail pieces out and you get deals from it. It's a way of doing it. It's not my favorite, but it is a good way of doing it, and it does work. On top of that too, door knocking. Love door knocking. You can knock on someone's door on a pre-foreclosure and say, hey, my partner, we're trying to buy a couple houses in the area. We're just letting people know in the neighborhood that we are looking to buy houses. Are you potentially looking to sell your house? Are you interested in selling it? That's my door knocking script. It's stupid simple, but it gets wholesaling results, and it will get you wholesaling leads. It's called door knocking. It's easy. A dummy can do it. It's easy. Just knock on the door and get the deal. Most wholesalers know that they should be doing it, but they don't. I don't know why, but it's a great method for us to actually go out here and get wholesaling deals. Door knocking. It's very, very underutilized, but it is a method that does work. It's a method that I recommend, but I'm telling you, most wholesalers aren't willing to do it. They aren't. It's crazy, but it is a method you should be considering doing. Most wholesalers aren't willing to do it, so I would say you probably should start doing it. Now, this is a very important point here, but there are ways to talk to pre-foreclosure sellers, and there are ways to not talk to pre-foreclosure sellers. I would say that most wholesalers do not know how to talk to a pre-foreclosure seller. Frankly, most of them don't know how to talk to sellers in general. That's why MCTP, go to freewholesaling.com, everything like that. And so make sure you go there and understand it. Now, if you don't understand what I'm saying, I do have a free wholesaling course, and don't roll your eyes, everybody, because there are people, I'm literally going to put them on the one-on-ones today and call them out and say, I don't have any deals. What do I do? Go to freewholesaling.com. What's that? Every day I get DM'd. How do I get started in wholesaling? What do I do? I'm going to give a second. Now, don't roll your eyes. Don't be upset, but I have a free course. I do not have an hour for each person every day of the hundreds of thousands of followers I have to teach them how to wholesale, holding their hand, do a one-on-one Zoom. But in freewholesaling.com, there's a version of me that will. And so go to freewholesaling.com. It's a free course. I'll show you how to talk to sellers. You'll see me doing recorded videos of talking to sellers. Then come on the one-on-ones. You'll actually be educated on wholesaling, and we can actually have an intelligent discussion on wholesaling real estate that will help you, help me, and help the audience become better wholesalers. Because once you go through there, you're going to learn how to talk to sellers the right way. Now, one thing you're going to know is you have to act like you're not targeting pre-foreclosure sellers. That's a big point I feel like a lot of wholesalers don't understand. But don't act like you're targeting a pre-foreclosure. A lot of wholesalers have this issue. Hey, I'm actually calling a list of people behind their mortgage payments, and we're an investment company looking to buy more houses and save you, and we're here to provide you solutions, blah, blah, blah. That's how a broke wholesaler talks. Rich wholesalers don't do that. FYI, they make it simple. Hey, me and my partner, we're looking to buy a couple houses in the area. Are you interested in selling? You do not want to be aggressive. It's a very delicate situation being in a pre-foreclosure. I've never been in the situation, obviously, but I can understand it's a very delicate situation. If they want to say no, they don't want to deal with you right now, their ego is too much, they obviously don't want to sell right now, and they just want to get it foreclosed, they'll say, no, I'm not looking to sell, or why would I want to sell? You're stupid for thinking I would even be in a situation to want to sell. I get that all the time too. It's fine. Let them go around their day and lose their house to foreclosure. That's it. If they don't want to talk, don't push the seller, or don't try to convince them that they're dumb. Let me repeat myself. If they don't want to talk, do not push them. Do not convince them. Do not say they're stupid. Just let them go about their day. This is a very important thing. But if they don't want to talk, don't push them. Don't try to convince them. Remember, guys and gals, pre-foreclosures are a numbers game. The more pre-foreclosure leads I can pull, the more marketing I can do. And with the more marketing I can do, the more contracts I write, the more assignments, and then the more deals I can get. That is it. The more leads I pull, more wholesaling deals I eventually get. It's called what we call the upward spiral, where I start doing better, I do more marketing, I get more leads, I get more appointments, I get more contracts, I get more cash buyers when I buy them, and then I make more money. To start the upward spiral, we have to pull more lists, we have to do more marketing, and then just our life gets better. Have you ever noticed you start waking up earlier, you start eating healthier, you start losing weight, you start exercising, you start making more money, you get that promotion? That it's an upward spiral in life, but there's also downward spirals. Everyone knows that too, right? Start doing bad things in your life and bad habits, and it just goes down the drain. But also the drain can go up. It's momentum. That's it. If you're doing better in life, usually it pushes you up. You're doing worse, you're more in a thought process to do worse, more worse decisions, you go down. So just understand, if you want to make more money in wholesaling, make better decisions in life, and do better things, like going to freewholesaling.com and not watching Netflix tonight, FYI. So just understand that this is really, really important, okay? There's so many wholesalers out here that have the information. They have the keys to success. They have what it takes to get rich. They have what it takes to make $20,000, $30,000 a month in wholesaling real estate, right? They have that juice, that information, that thing that's going to get them to the promised land. But they just don't know what to do with that, right? You go to freewholesaling.com, you're watching the stuff, you know how to do it. If you make a consistent schedule, guys and gals, you'll consistently start pulling lists. You'll start consistently marketing and doing it well. If you're a person that says, I don't do schedules, you're going to stay broke. Rich people make schedules. They make habits. They have discipline. If you're not willing to have discipline, you will stay broke. You'll stay at the point we're at right now and you'll never make a change. To make a change, you have to change. So if you want to actually make a change, start getting results right now, you have to create a schedule. Say, hey, when am I going to pull this list? When am I going to start reverse buying for dollars? When am I going to start text bossing? When am I going to start doing this? Start making a schedule. Start making wholesaling a non-negotiable. Start making your marketing a non-negotiable. Start making your hustle a non-negotiable. Start making positive thinking a non-negotiable. I promise you, these are little, stupid little things that eventually are going to lead you to making a ton of money in wholesaling real estate. So